I'm super excited to be here. Super excited to be partnering with you all on this hackathon. I think it's extremely exciting to continue to have people build in the identity space in Web3. My name is Daniel Brunston. I am running developer relations for Gitcoin on the Passport front. I'm also working with the Public Goods Network, PGN. But we're going to talk about Passport today. So Passport is one of Gitcoin's flagship products. It is coined as a Sybil defense mechanism where users go to Passport app and they create a passport and attach a variety of different stamps and credentials to your passport. Each of these different stamps represents a different verifiable credential that proves that you are human and not a Sybil. We very specifically choose which stamps we add to the Passport program and make sure that it has a very strong human to Sybil signal, so that as you add these VCs to your passport, you are essentially building up evidence that you are a human. And why is this important? Then other developers and also Gitcoin uses the score that that essentially represents how many stamps that you have and how much of a human you are to gate access to a variety of different things. You could gate access to an airdrop. You could gate access to community tools such as like a forum or Snapshot, for example. Or even just pulling in and displaying stamp data and using that stamp data to inform what types of things a user can get access to. I'll explain all of that a little bit more in detail here in a second. But first of all, I wanted to kind of structure this workshop by working through some of the educational materials that we have and talking about some of the use cases and how other people have applied Passport in their developer environments. Also, please feel free to chime in at any time with questions if you have them. More than happy to answer them. My DMs on Twitter are also open at Lebrat, Lebraat. And we also have a Gitcoin Discord where you can ask questions to the Passport Builders channel. I'll make sure that actually you can find all of those links from my Twitter profile. I'll make sure that they're at the top. Sweet. Okay, so first of all, Gitcoin Passport, gitcoin.co/passport is our landing page. This isn't the best page for developers necessarily, but you can get a lot of information about what Gitcoin Passport is from this page. Going straight to the docs is really the best thing that you can do. But I did want to highlight that if you go all the way down to the bottom, we have case studies for happy integrators. So and also a few examples of what some people have done with the Passport API so far. I just wanted to quickly kind of scroll through these to show you that you can learn about case studies and what other people are doing and read into those case studies directly from this site. But we also have this somewhere else. So if you go to View Docs, you're going to be taken to our Passport documentation. We just relaunched our documentation, did a whole overhaul. So I'm hoping that this is really effective for you all in finding success. If you have any feedback, we would absolutely love to hear it. Once again, you can just hit me up with that or our Discord. So the Building with Passport introduction is going to be the perfect landing page for you all. This is where you're going to be able to learn about what Passport is. I kind of already described that. What the use cases are with Passport and Passport's developer products. And then how to retrieve passport data. So we have an API that has several different endpoints. And then also we just got Passport on chain. We just pushed it on chain, which is super exciting. Not only can users push all of your stamps on chain to enable a bunch of on-chain use cases for developers, and also just to have your stamps on chain. We ended up using EAS instead of NFTs, but we are actively considering a variety of different ways that we can bring these stamps on chain to enable more use cases. But with that, we also launched a couple of smart contracts so that you can pull stamp data and also use that stamp data along with some of our passport weights that we have publicly displayed in our GitHub to build something amazing on chain. We also have some details about like the typical flow that a developer would go through to start using passport data on this introduction page, and a link off to several important resources right here. Now, most of these resources are related to the Passport API, but we also do have some really great resources for on-chain. First of all, I'll go through getting access really quickly for the API, and then we'll talk about a couple more things. So it's pretty simple. All you need is to create an API key and a scorer. And once you have that score and API key, you have to make sure to store those credentials away because you'll be referring to those in your request to the API. So it's a pretty simple step-by-step process here. All you got to do is go to our developer portal located here, navigate to the API keys section where you can create your key. And then for getting your score ID, once again, you're going to do that same exact thing at the developer portal, but there's a scorer section as well. I'll show you that really quickly. So first of all, you're going to have to sign in with Ethereum. And of course, I need to enter my password. Just a second. Nothing like a live demo.
Well, while you're entering your passport, Daniel,
Yeah.
or maybe a question for the end, but you mentioned the Guild and EAS as kind of use cases or examples that are partners also in the hackathon. So maybe at the end, you can touch on also kind of use cases that either already exist or that you would be excited about.
Absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. Just a second. I want to make sure that I'm sharing my proper screen. Yes, I am. Okay. I'll touch on use cases right after this. Absolutely. So in here, you'll see we have API keys and score. So simply all you do is click the plus button and go ahead and set things up. With the score specifically, I do want to point out that we have like, you kind of have to select your use case and then add a name. And then you have to select what type of score you want to create. This is kind of important. There's either a binary system of if a user has a score over 20, they're going to have a 1. If they have a score under 20, they're going to have a 0. So you can use the binary system, but we definitely recommend that you use the unique humanity scorer type, which just means that if a user has a score of anything, you're going to actually receive that specific score. And then you can set your own threshold of what you would consider to be a passing score. So for example, to put that into context, we are just about to launch a brand new plugin or integration with Snapshot, which I'm extremely excited about. So Snapshot, you will be able to gate access to create a proposal or to vote on a proposal to just those users that have a passport score of over 20. 20 is usually the right number for, or what we recommend to people. It's the perfect score where it removes enough Sybils from being able to participate, but enables humans to actually participate without having to go through too much pain. So what that would look like is you go to Snapshot, you connect your wallet, and your passport score will automatically be connected to your wallet. And so you will be able to gain access to create a proposal if you have a score of over 20. And I'm going to go ahead and rewind really quickly and actually show you what the Passport app looks like as well. Actually, you can access the Passport app from the top of the Passport documentation. Once again, sign in with Ethereum. We'll skip that for now. So this is what the Passport app looks like. So going back to kind of what stamps are, each of these is going to be a stamp. And then within each of these stamps, there's going to be different credentials within these stamps. So what we are hoping that users do is go in here and connect your account to all of these different stamp providers, and set up your credentials. So for example, with Facebook, if you have a profile picture attached, you can sign up for that credential. For GTC staking, if you have staked, or if someone has staked GTC on you, or if you have staked on yourself, you can get some credentials here. And each of these stamps and credentials have a different weight, which then contributes to your overall passport score. So I have a score of 39.65. So I would pass and be able to participate in that snapshot integration if the score was set to 20. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I know we don't have too many people here.
It makes definitely sense for me, although I'm not a dev directly. But then again, that's also why it's important that they can also contact you by DMs and on Discord, any builders and hackers behind.
Absolutely, yeah. I was kind of sticking to more of like the developer talk here, but realized I should probably do a little bit of an overview of what the product does in case you haven't set a passport up yet.
You already started doing that earlier, so it's great. Maybe I don't want to interrupt your flow, sorry, but maybe also if you have a kind of a general overview, not only for devs, but also maybe for other types of builders, maybe designers, like how should they approach Gitcoin Passport? How do you see kind of the product and the evolution also? But I don't want to break your flow, so go for it, Dan.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I'm going to tie this back to kind of the original one, and then I'll get into that. So okay, that's creating a passport, that's attaching stamps, and that's also creating your developer environment from the getting access page. So from there, what you can do is you can start making requests to the API. With the API, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to submit the Ethereum address that you want to score, and then you can pull the score using one of these two endpoints. So we have all of that kind of listed back on the introduction page once again in the protecting content with Passport, so you can learn about that. So sorry, to go all the way back to use cases. Another page that we have is this use cases page within our documentation. In here, you can see, once again, a variety of different case studies of what different people have done with Passport to gate access to certain different things. So for example, making sure that the loyalty program is only awarding humans by requiring a certain score of maybe 20. For Guild, what we're doing is we're enabling different folks in the Guild ecosystem to gate access to their community tooling using Passport score once again. But we also have a very great kind of breakdown of which audience members might be wanting to build with Passport, and have a direct technical step-by-step tutorial on how to do that. Each of these tutorials also has some example code that you could use. And we do have example apps attached to these as well. So you can directly go in there and see exactly what this looks like. So for example, this is a working version of an app that requires a Passport score for an airdrop claim. So if I go to that, I connect my wallet once again. So I want to add my address to an airdrop. And since I have the score of 39, I am able to here. If I were to be using one of my test accounts that has a much lower score, I think it's like a score of like 3 or 4, this would have said you unfortunately cannot participate in this because you do not have a score that's high enough. So your question was, how can other builders participate with Passport?
Yeah, absolutely. Other, for example, designers, or how should other people think about Gitcoin Passport? And also maybe if you can add from your experience, like what are the kind of hurdles or obstacles that hackers usually encounter maybe with Gitcoin Passport? Of course, they can DM you, but if you have like any ideas already in advance of things that they might encounter.
Absolutely, yeah. So developers are the only ones that can build with Passport. I mean, developers are the ones that are going to actually be working with the Passport API and the smart contracts, but we also do enable more like of the folks that are thinking about like identity and displaying Passport data within your application using some of our other endpoints here. So I'm going to go to a tutorial and working with stamp metadata. So each of these stamps, you can actually request all the different stamp data from our API as well, and from our smart contracts. So you, in this situation, might want to display which stamps a user has had within maybe a profile page for like discourse, for example. Let's say your discourse, you want to gate access to the forums to only humans, and you want to make sure that humans know which stamps they've already engaged with or verified on their passport and what their score is. So you want to display this in their profile so that they understand how much they've already verified and what else they need to do to get to a passing score. So what you can do is, using the API, you can pull all the stamp metadata and display that directly from that profile. So you can not only pull the stamps that they've connected with, but you can also pull all the stamp data to show which ones they still could go after to increase their score. One of the problems that we're experiencing right now, which would be a great opportunity to build on, is people humans who are trying to build up a score are having a difficult time identifying what exactly they should connect to get the score that they're looking for. So a great use case would be like a kind of walkthrough of like, okay, how can I get a score that actually proves that I'm human? So that would be a tool that would maybe walk people through, like, you already have these stamps. These other stamps are kind of easy to get as a human. And maybe like these stamps don't cost any money, and kind of tag stamps in like an application environment so that people know quickly what they can do to get the score so that they can start engaging with these different apps that have integrated with Passport. So for example, maybe you go to like a Next.js app, and that Next.js app has all the different stamps and has little tags per each stamp that explains like the difficulty to integrate, whether it costs money or not, what the weight of that stamp is. And actually, let's see if I have the Passport stamp weights in here. Sorry, just a second. And of course, my search is not working properly right now. It might take a second to actually pull that up because it's buried in a Gitcoin or a GitHub file. But displaying, like, kind of building tools around displaying stamps might be a great opportunity to build. You had kind of a second part of that question, right?
I mean, you've mainly answered it. I'm just wondering in terms of also for Gitcoin Passport as kind of closing words, like kind of what are the milestones, not only with this hackathon, but also in future hackathons and kind of, let's just say like in the next 6 months to a year, like where would you want Gitcoin Passport to be so that it can also give ideas to builders and hackers out there in terms of like how they should think about the whole process.
Absolutely. Right now, we're hyper focused on civil defense. So we really just want to make sure that not only are we creating the score properly to represent human versus civil, and also adding the proper stamps to Passport to ensure that we're actually giving good signal of humanity. But we also want to unlock as many different use cases of people integrating Passport into their system to protect from civil. So civil defense is our number one focus right now. So anywhere that civils might be a problem is a place where you might want to plug Passport in. Now, in the future, we're thinking of a few different things. One is a Passport premium product. There's nothing really to build on that right now, but another one is reputation. So we want to start to enable people in the Web3 space to connect a variety of different stamps to their Passport to kind of prove what they're interested in. So in the future, instead of hyper focusing in on the Passport score, what you might want to look into is starting to utilize the specific stamp data to kind of prove what a person's activity on Web3 is. Another interesting idea that we're thinking of right now is Passport stamps. Collecting stamps is a really interesting way to kind of get people exploring Web3. I myself, when I first started getting into Web3, before I started working for Passport, I went through all of these and kind of explored what they all do. And so it was kind of like a little adventure, almost like gamification of me going and exploring the Web3 ecosystem. So also creating tools around that could be very interesting. Um, so those would be a couple of different areas that we're kind of moving towards here. So less civil defense and more reputation and exploiting that reputation across different Web3 use cases.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel. So yeah, obviously, as mentioned, any questions can be asked directly in DMs. I don't know if someone in the audience has any final questions as we reach the end. But I know that a lot of developers will be coming post token 2049. Today is a bit of a complicated day.
Totally, I hear
Any
that.
final questions, maybe in the audience? If not, I'll give you the final words, Daniel. I see Igor, you unmuted. I don't know if you have a specific question or if it's
Yeah,
just.
I wasn't sure if you can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't clear from the UX. Anyway, thanks for the intro. I was just curious. Those stamps, they represent various qualities, right? And I'm just curious if, for example, for marketing purposes or similar, I'm interested in people who have a certain set of stamps or a specific stamp or a set of stamps combining into a certain level. Are you doing this or are you planning to do this?
So with the API, we definitely deliver like which stamps each person has connected. So you can totally, for marketing purposes, go in and pull all the stamp data and make decisions based on which stamps a user has connected. So, for example, with Snapshot, what they're doing is they're enabling users to participate if they have a certain score, but they also can choose to gate access based on which stamps a user has. So like if you have a GitHub stamp, an ENS stamp, and a LinkedIn stamp, for example, that's a very much not a Web3 use case, I guess, but a Web2 use case, then you could participate in a snapshot. So yes, using stamp data is definitely a use case that we want to enable as well.
Is there a way to go the other way around to find people that way, or that goes against the privacy and
So Passport is privacy preserving. So we enable, it is very difficult to identify the specific human. It's not really built to identify the specific human. It's really just built to identify whether it is a human on the other end of that passport.
No, what I meant is that I'm interested to get a list of users that have certain combinations or badges, that sort of thing.
You can identify well,
What you are saying basically sounds to me as when they come, I can decide what I think about them and let them or not let them in, or present them with various options, for example. But
correct.
I cannot query you for those people, right?
That is definitely possible. Yeah, to like display different content based on which stamps that they've connected. Absolutely. And gating is one way that we've considered it, but also just like enabling more of a personalized experience based on the stamps that people have are connected with. That's definitely something that we'd be interested in seeing.
We have just maybe there's a final question in the chat. Thank you so much, Igor, for the question.
Yeah.
Final question, which is from Gratitude. Any thoughts on approaching identity for cyber actors versus autonomous agents or bots that can take actions based on a user's permission? So it's written down if you want to reread it, but that's the main question.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I used to work at Twitter, and I used to enable or try to promote bot usage as much as I possibly could, like good bots. And now all of a sudden I'm kind of somewhat fighting them, but really like they're kind of one and the same, and there's some nuance in there for sure. Sybils, we would consider Sybils to be a human that has multiple different accounts that are trying to manipulate a system using those multiple different accounts. So there is the
Ustas, there's a bit background noise.
Like there's the assumption that Sybils are bad actors, whereas autonomous agents, they could be good, they could be bad. We're really just hyper concentrated on those bad actors that are trying to actively manipulate situations. Any thoughts on approaching identity? We are really just concentrating on kind of the Sybils side of things.
Perfect. I don't know if that fully answered the question for Gratitude. I hope so. I mean, Gratitude, if you want to add something, you can also unmute your mic. But if not, we're reaching the end, so I'll give you the closing words, unless there's a final question. But if not, Daniel, go for it. So, final words. Ustas, did you have a question?
Yeah. One question. How hard is it to integrate some new kind of verification on passport if I am a data provider? Is it hard for me to is it hard for me to integrate my existing application on passport?
As a stamp provider?
Yeah.
So right now we're kind of slowing down which stamps that we add, and we're very hyper specific about it. We have certain criteria that we're looking for, and we're kind of overhauling the stamp process. So I'd say for the purposes of this workshop, definitely concentrate on more of the integration and utilizing passport data to gate content or to build content around certain different
I think Daniel cut. I don't know if it's me or anyone else.
Yeah. I guess so.
Well, maybe give him a couple seconds to try to come back, and if not, we'll close the conversation. But let's try to give him a chance to come back.
Yeah, but I already got the answer.
Perfect. I mean, thank you so much, guys, for joining the workshop. Obviously, through the community and on Discord, you can ask all the questions. There will be the recording, and I know a lot of people were not able to attend today because of all the events around the world. So much appreciated. And yeah, I think we'll close here, but don't hesitate to DM Daniel, of course, or us on NewForum and Discord and etc. So thank you so much, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.